Hello and welcome to the Snickerdoodle Knits channel. I am Jessica, the knitter and designer behind Snickerdoodle Knits. In this video, I am going to talk about my Gratitude Shawl, which I'm wearing, pattern design. I will talk about the inspiration behind the design. I will talk about knitting techniques that I use in the design, and I will talk about yarn that you can use for this design when you knit it for yourself. So this shawl, the Gratitude Shawl, is a shawl that I released for Thanksgiving in 2019. The concept behind the shawl is that it resembles things that we can and should be grateful for in our lives. I've noticed in the past year or so just how much being grateful for things changes my perspective. So it's easy to get maybe discouraged and upset and caught up with life and just to not have a positive outlook. And so just in trying to think of how to foster happiness and positivity in my own life, I noticed how much just being grateful for simple little things could help. So the stitches that I selected for this pattern each resembles something specific that we should be thankful for, or that I personally thought that I should be thankful for, and I thought that they were broad enough that they applied to most of us. So the first section that I started with is this kind of open meshy lace section, and this resembles the experiences in life that open us to the things around us. So like they broaden our perspective and maybe widen the way we view the world. So like I guess when we're young, we kind of have a really small bubble about how we see the world. And as we grow in age, of course, that bubble broadens and we learn more about the world, we learn more about the things around us, we become more understanding of the people around us and the situations that surround us. So this is just to resemble those kinds of things that open and widen our perspective, that change the way we view the world. And sometimes that's very simple things, but things that I feel like we can be grateful for because they change our perspective and they help us to maybe see things a little bit clearer. And then the next section is just a garter section. And so that just resembles everyday, ordinary things in life. So maybe that's like the sun rising, or maybe it's a spouse or a child or a family member. Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's having food on the table. Just simple things, everyday things that we experience that I know I personally don't think a lot about, but they're things that I can be grateful for. And then the next section, this next purple section, is a wandering lace section. So it refers to like paths that wander in our life. So it seems like a lot of times in life, I'm a planner personally. I like to have everything planned out and I want to know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and when I'm doing it and everything detailed about it. But most times in life, it seems like things don't go how we plan. Whether it's little details or the whole plan is just derailed. So this section resembles things that don't go how we plan. Like the path just wanders and it's not that straight path that we had planned, and things go differently, and there are obstacles and there are maybe things that turn us away from what we were planning or just help us get to our goal via a different route. So these are the wandering paths, the things that wander from the way we would plan things, and those lead us to different experiences that I think we can be grateful for. And finally, the border of this shawl, which like it's not an applied border, it's just the final section of the shawl, is a feather and fan section. And so that to me resembles the things that are maybe more delicate and beautiful, just the finer things in life. And I think in the pattern I said things like friends that make things more beautiful and help you to see the flowers and see the pretty things and stop and smell the roses. So the final section is just these more intricate, beautiful things in life. So as far as the level for this pattern, this is not a beginner pattern. It's probably more of an intermediate pattern. So you want to be probably experienced in definitely knowing how to knit, how to purl, maybe increases and decreases, just basic increases and decreases would be helpful. This is not super complicated, but especially the wandering path section does require some attention, just to not get that mixed up. Of course, most people probably won't notice if you just mix up a row or two, but yes. So more of an intermediate level, but I do provide video tutorials on all of the techniques that I use in my patterns. So different stitches that are required to create these lace sections, those are linked in the pattern. So you can have those resources to learn exactly how to do these stitches if you don't already know how. So the yarn that I used, this is Plymouth Yarn Company, and this is actually, so there's a whole story behind the yarn as well. It's just probably a reason why part of the reason why I love this pattern so much. This is one of my absolute favorite, if not absolute favorite designs that I've created to date. And part of that's because I love the colors. I bought this yarn for myself, so this was not a collaboration. A lot of my patterns are collaborations with yarn dyers, so they provide the yarn support so that I can knit the patterns in their yarn. This was not a collaboration, so this was just yarn that I bought because I loved it at my local yarn shop. So this is Plymouth Yarn Company in their sport. I'll put down here if there's an actual specific name, but it's their sport weight. This is Fig, so that's the sport solid, and this is, I'll put the colorway down here because I don't remember what the colorway is, but it's this beautiful gray that has these speckles of purple that blend in really well with the Fig. So for yarns, this is a higher, in my perspective, a higher price point yarn, but I have a blog post that specifically talks about yarns that you can use for this pattern. So this is a sport weight yarn. Of course, you could change your needle size and change the weight of the yarn, and that'll change the size of the yarn, but all of the instructions still work the same. But in that blog post I have a range of yarns in affordability, in fiber content, and in color palettes. And I include color suggestions. So I think I have 1 color and 2 color yarn suggestions, both from Plymouth Yarn Company and from other yarn companies that I recommend. So that blog post will be posted down below. The link to that blog post will be posted down below in the description box, along with that blog post that talks about the pattern inspiration and the yarn inspiration and everything about what makes this shawl so special to me. And then I'll also link all of the locations that you can buy this pattern. So you can buy this pattern on Ravelry, on LoveCrafts, and on Pattern Vine, but all of those links will be down below as well. So I hope this video helps answer any questions that you may have had about the Gratitude Shawl. If you have more questions, go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more content like this, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the other videos that I have. I have a video specific to every design that I have created that talks about techniques, inspiration, yarn, and so on. And then I also have knitting tutorials to the techniques that I use in my patterns. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope to see you around. Happy knitting!